Okay, so let's talk about Ghana's central bank, which last week decided to leave rates unchanged at 14.5%, citing inflation risks. The financial regulator also says it decided to hold, looking for further impact of its November 2021 rate hike on the Ghanaian economy. Join me now from Accra with some perspective on this and the markets is Fred Duval, the CEO at African Securities. Good evening, my friend. Great to have you again on the show in the new year. Yeah, thank you very much for making the time. That decision by the central bank or the Bank of Ghana to hold interest rate at 14.5, was that consistent with the general and the market expectations?
Well, I'd say yes. The central bank's neutral stance on interest rates was in line with what the market expected. We remember that back in November last year, the central bank surprisingly raised interest rates from 13.5 to 14.5, and which was essentially a reversal of its own decision in May of 2021. Now, the increase in the rate in November was a reaction to contain a 5 month of consistent inflation increase figures, which took the inflation beyond the central bank inflation target. Now, the January's interest rates hold was because the central bank perceives that the dynamics that are associated with November's increase is yet to fully transmit, and it also factored in the upside risks to inflation and depreciation into the hike in November. So basically, it is adopting a wait-and-see approach for the effect of the November hike to play out before it decides whether it will be necessary to further increase interest rates.
So those of you who are market professionals, how are you looking at inflation, which the BOG decided on, as the risk for investments?
Well, for us, what we are seeing is that investors are beginning to revise their yield expectations in line with the higher inflation numbers. For example, I think prior to last week, the 91-day Treasury bill, for instance, was offering a negative real return, where the inflation print was higher than the return the security offered. So subsequently to that, we have seen investors in the last money market auction demand more interest, and yields on the primary fixed income market have begun to inch up. On the secondary market as well, the risk to inflation has kept the yields elevated, and previously issued bonds are now trading at a discount. So essentially, the market is pricing inflation into its yield demands on the market.
Well, how's your securities market getting the new year 2022 started, using the 1st of January as a mirror? If you look at how the equity side finished nicely in 2021, do you think January gives us a sense of what your market will look like for the current year, Fred?
Well, I mean, what we can see now is that the market is reacting to a few happenings in the macroeconomic space as we began 2022. Primarily, the hike in inflation. We've seen recent pressures on the currency and the central bank's decision to hold the policy rate. There's been that concerns around debt sustainability, and more recently, Fitch downgrading Ghana's long-term foreign currency issuer debt to a B negative with a negative outlook. In the fixed income market, we have seen it translate into higher yields being demanded by investors. But on a positive note, though, we see that trading volumes have increased as the market has recovered from the Christmas festivities. On the equity side, though, the market has started on a more weaker note. There's been price declines across certain stocks on the market, and the composite index is currently showing a negative year-to-date of about 2.15%, following its stellar performance last year.
So if you're giving me your outlook on the markets and the stocks on the Ghana Stock Exchange at African Securities, what would be a game changer for you? What stocks do you have in your crosshairs you're focusing on for this particular year that you think investors should focus on if I'm looking in from the outside into the City House in Accra?
Well, for us, we believe that there's still a bit more value in financial stocks and telecom stocks, of which is Scancom PLC, the owners of MTN. We're waiting on the banks and other financial stocks to release their numbers. We believe that following their 9-month performance last year, we think that they're going to their full-year numbers are going to look good. So we expect that there'll be a bit of a price rally in banking stocks. However, because of the performance on the equity market last year, we see that investors have started taking profits that they made last year. So there's been a bit of a increase in offers on the market, and that is suppressing prices. But we still think there's more value in the equities market, especially in the financial and telecom sectors.
What are you hearing from the Ghana Stock Exchange and the Securities and Exchange Commission as to what will be new or game-changing for them, for the market, to look out for in the current year? Have you had any briefings so far? What are you learning on the ground that you market professionals, trading, licensed dealing firms can look up to, and investors in general?
Well, a major thing is the launch of the GIMRA, which is going to be a repo trading. It has been on the books for some time pre-COVID, and I think the disruptions of COVID kept it on the back burner. But we expect that this year is going to take effect, and we're going to have companies or investors able to trade repos actively on the market, and it's going to increase market liquidity, especially in the fixed income space.
Okay, we're going to keep an eye on you folks. You think the central bank will raise rates anytime this year? Is that possible?
Well, yes. We expect inflation to continue on its upward trajectory. We see that there's increase in fuel prices. The currency is under pressure, and we're going to have a lot of imported inflation as well. So we think that inflation is going to continue on its upward movement, and as a result of that, we expect that at the next MPC meeting, the central bank just might increase interest rates by another 50 basis points.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Fred Duval, CEO at African Securities. Have a pleasant evening. And we're going to touch base with you pretty soon. Enjoy the rest of the evening and your weekend.